Well, would you believe it? It's been 5 years since building this greenhouse. So I'll tell you a bit about my experience with it, and hopefully it will help out somebody who's on the fence about buying one of these units. The short of it is, yes, I would buy this unit again if I'm in a place where it does not get any snowfall, or in a place that does not have severe wind. So in a place with no snow and only moderate wind, I have zero hesitation recommending this unit. And Harbor Freight usually has this nice sale, so it has 25% off for any single item. Here's the coupon code if this is helpful to anyone. So the overall dimensions of this greenhouse are 119 by 143 inches. So it's just an inch short of the full 10 by 12 feet that it advertises. Also, when you go inside, from the very top to the ground, it's 10 feet. These side panels here each are 34 by 17. You have 6 of them. The door is a little bit more than 6 feet tall. Coming to this side, these are the majority of the panels here, so each side panel is the same dimensions. It's 23 inches by 77 and a quarter, and the roof pieces are 23 inches by 69 and a half. So the roof panels are a little bit shorter than the side panels. I'm not trying to sell you this greenhouse. Obviously you're buying it from Harbor Freight. It comes at a price point, so you expect some corners being cut here and there. I'll show you what I've done to work around some of the main shortcomings. So the main takeaway for me was when installing this greenhouse, make sure you take each panel here and put this tape around it, so to make sure that the edge of the panel is well protected. This does not allow water to penetrate in here and start growing algae. And here's some project shots from building this greenhouse. Hopefully you have a helper and you can tag team. One person can build a structure and the other person can spend the time to tape up all the panels. The tape I used, this guy here, this is 2 inches across, and you can rip it lengthwise into two 1-inch pieces, and yeah, having 1 inch is perfect width to make sure all these panels are taped up. This has really helped. Next tip, when building this, make sure you build this on a stable foundation. I used just screws and screwed this bottom plate into the foundation, which is 6 by 6 pressure treated lumber. I think in the instructions they tell you to take this and just bury it in some gravel. That's just poor advice. No, bury this in gravel, make sure it has enough drainage. It will stay there, it will prevent the whole structure being moved around, and then just screw it in place. Apart from having a solid foundation, make sure that the thing doesn't move around. Having this bracing has been just instrumental. So you have bracing on this side, essentially on all 4 sides have diagonal bracing. These are just 10-foot electrical conduit pipes that are galvanized. They do not rust. I got them from I think Home Depot. I used maybe 6 total for the entire build. 1 or 2 went into the diagonal braces, 1 went up there for the vents, and then I used some for making these just door handles. These are, look at that, these are like factory, right? And this has been like this for 5 years, not any sign of it trying to rust. Isn't this amazing? That's how it should have come from the factory. And just to make this, I used my vise, just crank down on the conduit, it flattens it, then drill a hole, bend it a couple of spots, and it works great. If you don't have a strong enough vise, you can just use a hammer and just hammer it down to flatten it. Inside here, I'm using this greenhouse for tomatoes. So here's my tomato setup. These diagonal braces, in addition to preventing the structure to move around, they also serve as the basis to make this couple of galvanized pipes going lengthwise. And then I use just these clips finish just 1-inch plastic clips and this string, and then I use that to just guide my tomato plants as they keep growing. So as this keeps growing, I'll keep adding more clips. It's been working fantastic. You don't have to deal with having tomato cages or anything like that. One thing, so these stand on concrete blocks and then just have a couple of pressure treated boards. I would have made this a bit wider. I think right now it's about 14 inches. I would have made it 16 to allow these containers to fit more comfortably. I want to keep it low to the ground because these tomatoes grow really tall. They easily reach up here, and sometimes I've had to like span them across, right? So they grow tall and you don't need to sacrifice any height. We're back outside, and next tip. A lot of people complain that these panels just fly away in a strong wind. Well, they will not fly away if you just take a screw and screw each panel into these aluminum support members. So again, this is screwed twice, these 2 times, here and here. So essentially just go around and screw in each panel in place. You can also buy extra of those clips. I don't think that mattered for me. Just screwing this in really helped. You just take these self-tapping screws. They are Everbuilt number 10 by 1 inch, so 1 inch long. You use a bit like this. At the time I did not use this, but I wish I had, like a tool like this with a magnetic head, and you just go and you screw it in from the outside. Yeah, it sticks a bit through here. You can either cut this off with an angle grinder or just let it be. It has not been an issue for me for the last 5 years, so I will let it be. It's cold right now and these vents are closed, but you can see that I use these automatic vents on all 4 sides. At the bottom side here, again, I have electrical conduit. The way these things work is that when it gets warm, this cylinder expands, pushes out, and then these vents open. All 4 of them open up, and then this lets cool air go through the greenhouse so you don't cook up your plants in here. This has worked flawlessly for 5 years straight. Next tip. This is a greenhouse. You'll have plants in here. You really want to have a water hose in here. So I have a water hose coming in here. I drilled a hole through this thin plate here. I have a grommet, and then here I have a splitter. One half of it goes to a timer, so each of these containers gets its own water supply, and they get watered once a day. At the same time, I also want to be able to water something at will, so the other side of it goes into here, and you can have water or this at will whenever I see that the plant needs it. So this has been fantastic. Definitely highly recommend having a dedicated water hose inside the greenhouse. These grommets this is what I use down here. This is 3/4 rubber grommet. Finally, this Felco, I think it's Felco number 8. These have been great for just trimming. Whenever I want to propagate some of the tomatoes, I'll come and, for example, this thing here needs to be clipped. And just a quick tip of how I propagate tomatoes. So I went around and I clipped off all these suckers. I waited them to be about this size. They relatively quickly grow roots and can become real tomatoes. Waiting for this to grow from seed will take you months. While if it's on the plant here and you just clip it off, that plant has, focused its efforts into just the main stem, and you can have multiple tomatoes to grow off of it. right? So I clip them off, and then I buy these rock wool cubes. These are, I think, 1.5 inch. You just go and place 1 cube in each of these containers, right? And then you take each of these suckers, you dip it here in rooting hormone, right? Then it goes in, and just like this we have 16 brand new tomato plants. In a couple of weeks this will grow little roots from the sides here, and then at that time you can just put them straight into one of those big pots here to grow. Normally each one of these will be $4 or $5, and this is 16 of them, so it's more than $60 saved. These will be a bit younger plants compared to these, but that's okay. You'll only expand your growing season. You don't have to have all your tomatoes be ripe at the same time. So that's some of the secrets with this Harbor Freight greenhouse. Honestly, it has been one of the highlights of owning this property here, so I highly recommend it. With the modifications we had here, I am really thrilled with how it turned out. Go for it if you're on the fence. This has been a great unit. Thanks for watching, and until next one.